देवो विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजाकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर सदस्य श्रीमद अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजाकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर सदस्य श्रीमद भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। ब्रजभूमि श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय। मायापुर श्री नवद्वीप धाम की जय। मथुरा धाम की जय। द्वारका धाम की जय। जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। गंगा माई यमुना माई की जय। भक्ति देवी तुलसी महारानी की जय। समवेत गौरभक्त वृंद की जय। गौरभक्त प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। ऑल ग्लोरीज टू द assembled devotees हरे कृष्ण। ऑल ग्लोरीज टू द assembled devotees हरे कृष्ण। ऑल ग्लोरीज टू द assembled devotees हरे कृष्ण। All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Next कायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतः सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठकी. Hari Om Tat Sat. So welcome all devotees for today's morning Srimad Bhagavatam class of ISKCON Seshadripuram. So today I have been asked to some message. Okay, so I will check this Prabhu, this music mode. I will check it out. Next time I will do that. Thank you very much. Okay, Hare Krishna. So we will continue with this verse today. Today I have been asked to pick up Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, which is entitled The Creation of the Fourth Order, 22nd chapter, which is entitled Prithu Maharaja's Meeting with the Four Kumaras, and verse number 19. Let me share the screen. Sangamah kulu sadhunam ubhayesham cha sammataha yat sambhasana samprashnaha sarvesham vitanotisam. Word to word meaning. Sangamaha, association. Kalu, certainly. Sadhunam, of devotees. Ubhayesham, for both. Cha, also. Sammataha, conclusive. Yat, which. Sambhashana, discussion. Samprashnaha, question and answer. Sarvesham, of all. Vitanoti, expands. Sham, real happiness. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. When there is a congregation of devotees, their discussions, questions and answers become conclusive to both the speaker and the audience. Thus, such a meeting is beneficial for everyone's real happiness. Thus, such a meeting is beneficial for everyone's real happiness. Purport. Hearing discussions among the devotees is the only means to receive the powerful message of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For instance, Bhagavad Gita has been well known all over the world for a very long time, especially in the Western world. But because the subject matter was not discussed by devotees, there was no effect. Not a single person in the West became Krishna conscious because the Krishna consciousness movement was founded. Not a single person in the West became Krishna consciousness before the Krishna consciousness movement was founded. But when the same Bhagavad Gita was presented as it is through the disciplic succession, the effect of spiritual realization was immediately manifested. Sanat Kumara, one of the Kumaras, informed Prithu Maharaj that his meeting with the Kumaras benefited not only Maharaja Prithu but the Kumaras as well. When Narada Muni questioned Lord Brahma about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Brahma thanked Narada Muni for giving him a chance to speak about the Supreme Lord. Therefore, questions put by a saintly person to another saintly person about the Supreme Personality of Godhead or about the ultimate goal of life surcharge everything spiritually. Whoever takes advantage of such discussions is benefited both in this life and in the next. The word Ubhayesham can be described in many ways. Generally, there are two classes of men, the materialists and the transcendentalists. By hearing discussions between devotees, both materialists and transcendentalists are benefited. The materialist is benefited by association with devotees because his life then becomes regulated so that his chance of becoming a devotee or making the present life successful for understanding the real position of the living entity is increased. When one takes advantage of this opportunity, he is assured of a human form of life in the next birth. or he may be liberated completely and go back home, back to Godhead. The conclusion is that if one participates in a discussion of devotees, he is both materially and spiritually benefited. The speaker and the audience are both benefited, and the karmis and jnanis are benefited. The discussion of spiritual matter among devotees is beneficial for everyone without exception. Consequently, the Kumaras admitted that not only was the king benefited by such a meeting, but the Kumaras were as well. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmanitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvise Sasunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaurabhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Om Tat Sat. So this is a wonderful verse in this chapter where Prithu Maharaj is actually meeting with the four Kumaras. So we know the background. Because anytime we discuss, we give a little background. So someone who just sees it, because it's all recorded, someone sees it, they get the context. So the background is that Prithu Maharaj, who is an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is considered as a Shakti Aveshya Avatar. So he's by the churning of the body of Vena, a very demoniac king, because of his very bad character, the Brahmanas decided to kill him so that he is discharged of the duty of a king. So from then, when he died, then as per the Varnashrama system, there should be a king to rule the prajas, to give them the directions. They should protect the people. Therefore, they churned his arms, and from there, Prithu Maharaj appeared. And later, Prithu Maharaj performed many yagnas, and there was some conflict between Indradev and, in the sense, Indradev was very much threatened by Prithu Maharaj, and he tried to stop the yagnas of Prithu Maharaj. Anyway, Brahma appeared and he told Prithu Maharaj, he was doing Ashwamedha Yajna, he was doing 100 Ashwamedha Yajna. So if you do 100 Ashwamedha Yajna, any jiva also can become the Indradev. So Indra was worried, he has completed 99, now he's going to do the 100th Yajna. After that, what is my position? I will lose my position. Therefore, he was trying to create trouble. So when Brahma came and he told Prithu Maharaj, you are almost like you are God yourself, and you know what is the purpose of life. Why are you trying to do all this yajna and all this? Let's not do all this. You just allow Indra to be. I mean, he doesn't have to feel threatened because of his threatened position, he continues to do more and more bad things. In fact, Indra started a sampradaya, which is this bogus guru. Today we see all this so-called this Ananda, that Ananda, who are all bogus, are because of Indra's initiating this process. So Brahma says, don't do this. And therefore, Prithu Maharaj very happily agreed, okay, I don't want to compete with anyone. He's Supreme Personality of God, and he understands. He says, no. So he stopped. Post that, and at that point in time, because of the people being so much materially afflicted, they stopped all the rituals and all that. So Mother Earth was so much in trouble, and therefore she hid all the resources deep inside her, and they were not able to get water, resources, nothing. So Prithu Maharaj actually chastised Mother Earth. She came in the form of cow, and he made her understand that this is not correct, and he made her release all the resources. And in the course of time, he created a beautiful governing system. He is considered the topmost, foremost, what do you call, sometimes we say, father of so-and-so, like that. The father of all this city planning and all that was actually Prithu Maharaj. And he divided the land nicely, created wonderful cities, and all of that he was doing. And all the lords, all the demigods, everybody came and they gave him many wonderful gifts. And even Lord Shiva came, Lord Brahma came, Lord Vishnu came, and they offered him with very wonderful gifts. After that, Prithu Maharaj gave a wonderful speech to all his prajas. When that was all getting over, at that point in time, the four Kumaras come. The four Kumaras, we all know, are the first, offsprings of Lord Brahma. So the four Kumaras, the Lord Brahma started creation. The four Kumaras were his first children, and he wanted them to procreate. And all his whatever his progeny was, all those who he wanted them to create, this 8.4 million bodies were to be created. So he asked them to procreate, but they said, no, we don't want to. They were already self-realized from the previous, creation, annihilation. They were in that state, just about to reach the perfection. But therefore, when they came, they were already in a very, very, very advanced state of spiritual realization. And therefore they said, we don't want to get into this again, into this family life and procreation and all that and fall down again. So we don't want to even grow bigger, means grow in our bodily form, because if we come to adolescent age, then this thought about procreation and all will come. We don't want to. So they actually took to the devotional service like this. Now, these four Kumaras are actually coming here to bless Prithu Maharaj, and that is the context here. The discussion is happening between Prithu Maharaj and the four Kumaras. So in that context, this particular verse is coming, where the particular verse that we are reading, it states, when there is a congregation of devotees, their discussions, questions, and answer become conclusive to both the speaker and the audience. Thus, such a meeting is beneficial for everyone's real happiness. So here, the one of the four Kumaras, Sanat Kumara, he is basically talking about this particular statement. He is saying, when there is a congregation of devotees, so when devotees meet, their discussion, question and answers becomes conclusive to both the speaker and the audience. So here, when devotees meet, they sometimes talk of other things also. But the question here is actually, what is the purpose of devotees discussion? When devotees meet, they talk about the Lord and this anything related to the Lord, right from the deities to the Lord, the philosophy. Everything related to the Lord is what the devotees are supposed to speak, and that is being highlighted here. And their discussions are conclusive for both the speaker and the audience. So sometimes, when it's natural, we see, like, as we are speaking, we are actually speaking, not that we are speaking, at least when we are talking about, people like us, when we speak, sometimes we give a class. So I'm giving a class. Does that mean that, I am completely aware of everything? By that speaking, what I am speaking is actually what the acharyas have spoken. That should be my speech. It should not be something which I think what I know speak. Then that is not real speech. So in this circumstances, when we speak what the acharyas speak, then in that process, while we speak, we are also understanding. So they say, no, if you are a teacher, you are by giving, you are actually getting more. This is important. By giving. Normally, if you are talking about any other thing, like any material things, if you have 10 items, if you give away 5, you will be left with 5. But if you are teaching, if you have X knowledge and you share that knowledge, that X knowledge becomes even more deeper, more stronger for us. So that way, here it is mentioned, it becomes conclusive to both the speaker and the audience. So we ourselves get more and more convinced that, as we speak the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, about God consciousness, the speaker is also more and more getting clarity in his head, and he is more and more he or she is getting more and more aligned to the concept of devotional service. And therefore, this meeting is beneficial for everyone's real happiness. So ultimately, the purpose of every jiva, if you have to ask, what is the purpose of life? The answer is generally, the purpose is to be happy. what is that happiness is varied by person to person according to their consciousness level. But the basic thing is one needs to be happy. That is the purpose of any jiva's life. Right from an ant to Lord Brahma, everyone's thing is to be happy. Now, that happiness is actually derived, and not only simply this, our state of consciousness happiness is one side of it, that is all relative happiness, but even the ultimate happiness is derived when one is able to understand or be in that discussion. That means in a discussion of the devotees, we give an oral reception, and through that process, we are able to come to the real purpose of happiness and actually get it. So this is science, not simply some philosophy. So this is very important. So now let's go a little deeper into this verse, into what Prabhupada is speaking. When we are talking about real spiritual discussion, I already touched upon it. There can be some kind of a bogus spiritual discussion. There could be something on a real spiritual discussion. When we talk about bogus spiritual discussion, how do we understand that? Right? How do we know something is bogus? It is simple, right? If that discussion is leading to our elevation in that particular subject matter, then that is authentic. Simple. Any subject matter. If you are not able to get to that purpose of that knowledge, then what is the use of that knowledge? So Prabhupada is giving his own example, which we always state this, right? Before Prabhupada came and gave this Bhagavad Gita as it is not like Bhagavad Gita did not exist in the world in terms of the propagation of the Bhagavad Gita in the all over the world. It had happened. It has, from India also we have had many great personalities, so-called great personalities, who have gone to the Western world and become very popular after they went abroad. There are, even today they are glorified as big personalities. Oh, they went abroad and, and gave Indian culture, the Indian Sanatana Dharma, or whatever they all say. But really, this going is fine, but did really, whatever did they give, did they make that consciousness of the whole world to change wherever they went? Did they really bring that? Yes, they did go, they did speak something. But really, the real matter was not conveyed in the proper way, or even the real matter was not conveyed. Why in the proper way? First, they did not know what is the real matter. And therefore, what they gave was all concocted. But what Prabhupada gave was the real subject matter of the Bhagavad Gita. Conclusive, the word used here. When the discussion happens between devotees, their discussions, question and answer become conclusive. That is important. So now in the Bhagavad Gita that Prabhupada preached, and the Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita and all of the Krishna consciousness that Prabhupada preached, there was complete conclusion in the whole thing. And therefore, people were able to get to that result of what he was preaching. That means people became Krishna conscious. And they were able to clearly get to the ultimate depth of what is real happiness is. So, if we are not coming to this point of Krishna consciousness, that means one who's understanding the purpose of life, then what is the purpose of that particular teachings of the Bhagavad Gita by the so-called scholars who had actually tried to do this? Because they themselves didn't know. It's always said, I can give only what I have. So if I myself don't understand, what will I give? I will, whatever I could tell, only my understanding is what people will also understand. If I don't have that understanding, how I can communicate that understanding to other people? So this is very important, and Prabhupada purely gave that without any adulteration, and therefore this knowledge became conclusive to many people. And I have seen, the Western world, when we say Western world people, they don't simply do anything. When they do something, there is complete depth of what they do. It could be a simple matter, but if you see, they go to we do sometimes, many a times in India, we do a lot of things very at a high level, but they get into a small thing. If they get into, they know the nth level of detail. They are very, very elaborate in understanding things. So this I have seen in many Western, people. Anyone you generally talk to, they don't simply, they get into the details. They really know the subject matter very well when they try to understand it. So when this is the case, many people have actually written, when you discuss with Srila Prabhupada, he's always certain with that. It's not like, maybe it could be like that, maybe it could be like this. No. He, with authority, he says, this is what it is. And to the depth of that, how much ever questions they have, he will be able to go down to the depth and answer it so perfectly. And this is something which the whole world, that means the intellectual class, is able to appreciate. Like, if you are asking a question, yeah, then if I am going to say with, ifs and buts, then I am not really clear with my own understanding. That's why I am putting so many ifs and buts. But Prabhupada, there's nothing called ifs and buts. Everything had a crystal clear answer. And this is actually what a pure devotee is able to do, because he knows the ultimate real knowledge. Prabhupada says no. If you know Krishna, then you know everything. So this is like, he goes to the Western world, and there he's talking very clearly about how the whole world, like in England, he's talking how this whole world is actually part of the same culture, which is Sanatana Dharma. And he's telling what is the root of the Westerners, what is the root of the Britisher, what is the root of the other races which are there. That clarity, complete clarity, and there is no confusion. Okay, then now there are these anthropologists or whoever, the people who dig the earth and find out something, they come up with some kind of a concocted version. But Prabhupada is not shaken by there, because they call that a science, right? No, here is proof. But Prabhupada is able to actually convince that those people also clearly actually what is the real proof. So this is there, and he is even showed, like, and today we are seeing all over the world these different races. When you dig deep, you actually find a lot of the Sanatan, what do you call, footprints. So there are places like, when we say in Africa, there are, Lord Rama and Lakshmana was taken away into the, into the ocean and got to the other side. There's one thing like that. And actually Hanuman was also there. He went there also. Now it is clear, it is in today's modern Africa, people are able to identify these places where actually Rama was kept in that, he was sort of kidnapped and he was there. So the names of those places are today also having identification with Ramayana. So this is Africa is where, India is where. But Prabhupada was very clear, and he was able to actually say about all this history. He said, this is what happened, this is what is this place. I mean, we can't comprehend how Prabhupada had all of this knowledge. Any subject matter you speak, he will have complete clarity on that. And this is about this particular verse where it is saying, when devotees speak, there is absolute conclusion on the matter, and there is no uncertainty. There is nothing called, maybe, or, possibly, or, according to me. These kind of things doesn't exist. So now, and continuing that, in that Prabhupada's puppet, he is writing, Sanat Kumara, one of the Kumaras, informed Prithu Maharaj that his meeting with the Kumaras benefited not only Maharaja Prithu but the Kumaras as well. This is the second aspect of it, where when we are in discussion on spiritual matters, both parties are benefited. We will come to not simply the two parties who, there could be other people hearing also, and other categories of people that will come in the next paragraph where Prabhupada is writing on the purport. But here, this particular point about both people come to clarity. This is very, very, very important. Clarity means they get benefit, right? See, we can talk about practical things for ourselves. If you see here, most are devotees, they can understand this. When we came to Krishna consciousness, right, we understand, okay, there's something that I'm interested, what the whoever person who introduced me is speaking, and then in course of time, I'm associating with many other devotees, I'm understanding. But if you really see, if you simply come and go, come and go, come and go, there is nothing much happening. In our own life, we would have experienced. Okay, I am just coming and going, I'm coming and going. While I am feeling nice, there is some progress happening, I am not really feeling that full bliss. Then how does it happen? Then the person engages more in the association of devotees in Krishna's service. The more he is engaging and more he is discussing about Krishna, that is where his actual progress happens. That is why it is said, the first point is about hearing. The more one hears, the more one hears, the more one hears, because this mind has been there for millions of years, taking so much of stuff, layer after layer after layer after layer after layer of so many experiences are sitting in the head, and they are all like this so much of dust accumulated over the pure matter. So all this dust has to be cleared, and then the pure matter can come to the shine. And from that point of view, the more we hear, the more we come to remembering who we are. The more we hear of the original truth of the spiritual matter. I mean, spiritual matter, when I say, it looks contradictory. It is not matter, spirit. The matter in terms of English, the subject matter, like that. So that's pure. That original is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And when we are able to talk about that purity rubs off all the anarthas in the head. And in the process of it, everything is cleared. And then our real self of who we are actually comes out of the thing. So one has to keep hearing. Shravanam is the most important thing we need to hear. Today we have more interest in speaking, but more interest should be there to hear. Because the more we hear, we are able to clear our anarthas. And more we hear, then we can actually speak better. So and when we speak, when we hear, we are empowering ourselves to speak. Because as I said earlier, if we are wanting to simply speak, when you don't know the subject matter, what is the use of our speaking? Right? We keep saying so many things, right? That's all fine. That's nice from a material perspective. But spiritually, if someone speaks and if the audience should get it, then he should have it to give. And if I don't have it, what is the point of my speaking? Particularly spiritual matters. So therefore, the first most important thing is how to hear, and hear from the right source. Because there are so many crap, right? People keep hearing so many things here, left, right, and center, and we do not know what is the source of such hearing. Who is the person speaking? What is their standing? Prabhupada says, right? If your milk touched by a snake is actually poison. Right? It is milk, but it is poison. Therefore, even the hearing also needs to be discreet. We cannot hear anything in the name of spirituality or from bogus people. We should hear it. Prabhupada is writing here. When that Krishna consciousness was given in the disciplic succession, then the whole world immediately could take to it. We saw that in the first paragraph, right? So where the idea is, how do we hear in the proper disciplic succession, authorized disciplic succession, people who are in good standing. And when we hear from them, then it goes deep into our heart. And once it goes deep into our heart, then we have something which we can actually give. Otherwise, our talking is simply talking in this one. So the point I'm trying to make is, what we speak should be the words of the acharyas. Words of the acharyas means what is the thing that they have conveyed in their different preaching efforts, like Srila Prabhupada. So all devotees, at least from ISKCON point of view, we should hear Srila Prabhupada. I am saying many times, we all get very inspired to hear many different speakers. Very nice, important, very important. I am not saying that, we should not hear anybody's classes. No, I'm not saying that. I am saying that while we do all that, most important is to hear Srila Prabhupada, because See, if for today, if some people say, no, Prabhu, I hear your classes often, it is very nice. How do you judge whether I am giving nice classes or not? Right? So is it about my English, or is it about the incidents or anecdotes that I give there? That may look nice, which is fine, there is nothing wrong with it. But in terms of the subject matter, what I am speaking, whether it is actually giving that advancement in spiritual life, then only if you know what the Acharya has said, then you can judge whether I am in line with what the Acharya is saying or not. Then it may add. So all devotees in ISKCON, we should take this principle of hearing Srila Prabhupada. And of course, our spiritual master and the senior disciples of Srila Prabhupada. And in that order, then we may come to hear other leaders within their movement. Wonderful person. Today, if you see, ISKCON is not new. It is more than 50-year-old. So there are many wonderful devotees, very much experienced in Krishna consciousness. So we trust. But I am only saying, with all of that, with due respect to everyone, we should hear Srila Prabhupada first. That is important. So this hearing process, once we do hearing nicely, it benefits the speaker himself. That Sanat Kumaras are saying, and they are not discussing this matter with some ordinary Kanishta Adhikari. He is discussing this matter with Prithu Maharaj. The Sanat Kumaras, not he, they are discussing with the Sanat Kumaras are discussing with Prithu Maharaj, and Prithu Maharaj is personality of Godhead himself, and therefore it is mutually beneficial. In fact, before this particular conversation, Prithu Maharaj was giving an address to the people there. That was also very nice. So here, that discussion, they are saying, they are humble. Actually, Sanat Kumar, the Prithu Maharaj accepted Sanat Kumaras as his spiritual master. But here you see the mood of the spiritual masters. They are saying, by discussing with you, we are also benefiting. You can see this conversation so nicely. Sometimes when we, in everything, we derive lessons for ourselves. Okay, this is history. Okay, Sanat Kumara spoke to thing. Okay, that is pastime of the Lord and his devotees. But what do we get from that? So when we really see this, when we are actually sometimes giving classes, or we are in a congregation, mostly we are speaking or something like that, but we are always receptive to what the devotees also speak and give feedback. We should be open, and we should be able to take that feedback, take their, sometimes, I've seen sometimes we get, I give an answer, and sometimes that answer may not be very appropriate. Another devotee, he may say, he may add something to it. Then I immediately feel offended. I try to justify why I said what. I'm great that he added one nice point which I could not think of as a speaker. I appreciate that. Oh, wonderful, Prabhu. Thank you for sharing. This is very useful. And we can actually try to substantiate on that answer. The idea here is the speaker is acknowledging that I am also learning in the process. So if you really see the many conversations that happens, there's Maitreya Muni and Vidura Maharaj. Maitreya Muni glorifies Vidura, is accepting him as his guru, and he's eagerly hearing, oh, please enlighten me on this subject. Oh, enlighten me on this subject like this. But that doesn't mean Maitreya Muni doesn't look down at him as saying, no, you are below me. But he glorifies Vidura Mahatma, and he says, oh, I am so blessed to be discussing with you like this. I'm inspired to speak because I'm talking to you. These kind of words they use. And even Prabhupada himself, Srila Prabhupada, towards the later parts of it, he will encourage all his disciples to speak. And Prabhupada will sit there and listen to this class which is given by his disciples. Now, this is very important. Sometimes when we grow up in a congregation, we think, I am a great speaker. Therefore, why I should listen to other people? I know better. Yeah, I know. Yeah, you may know better, no doubt about it. But everyone is limited by their own experiences and realizations. So when someone else speaks, there could be some different angle which is coming out, which I may not have even thought about in that. Maybe I know that is a different story, but that person in his mood, he or she may be talking about it in a very particular way, which may trigger something in our head. So it is very important that, when we sit there, we sit not wearing the cap of, I am a senior devotee, I am this, I am that. We sit there as a person who's listening to a person sitting on the Vyasasana and giving class, and we are very receptive. This mood, if we have, we are maximizing our time. But if we have this mode, oh, I know, I am a speaker myself, why I should listen to the other person? Then to that extent, we are wasting our time. So this is very important. So they are acknowledging this, we are also getting benefited. And in the third paragraph, she is saying, when Narada Muni questioned Lord Brahma about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Brahma thanked Narada Muni for giving him a chance to speak about the Supreme Lord. I took the example of Maitreya Muni and Vidura Mahatma. Here Prabhupada is talking about another discussion between Narada Muni and Brahma, because Brahma is the father and Narada is his son. Narada Muni is the son. And when Narada Muni asks Brahma, oh my father, you are Lord yourself, like that he speaks, and then Brahma actually says, no, I am not the Lord, actually there is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he speaks many things like that. And then he's acknowledging Narada Muni that, because you are giving me a chance to speak about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I am thanking you. This mood of reciprocation between the speaker and the audience is very, very important. Therefore, questions put by a saintly person to another saintly person about the Supreme Personality of Godhead or about the ultimate goal of life surcharge everything spiritually. This is important. So that discussion which is happening there is completely spiritual. The Lord's name, fame, form, glories, pastimes, everything is not different and completely pure and spiritual. So when we talk about the Lord and his devotees, we are put in a spiritual platform, and for us the time is actually static. It doesn't move. Right now, whatever time we are spending here together, whatever 6 of us here, our time is suspended from a spiritual point of view. So the more we are able to remain in this platform, the more we are in the spiritual world. That is why Krishna says, all the time think of me. And the great devotees 24/7 are thinking about the Lord, and they are actually in the spiritual world. And the more and more and more we are able to do this, then the more and more we are spiritualized. Krishnaized, Prabhupada says that we are Krishnaized, and therefore we are in the spiritual world. So in the initial stages, we keep going there and coming back, going to the spiritual world, coming back, going to the coming back. But as we keep practicing, we are slowly but surely transformed completely into the spiritual world, even though we may physically be caught up in this body and therefore we are here. And Prabhupada sometimes mentions such great personalities feel very, feel very uncomfortable being in the material body. They see the dharma sankat of the situation. We feel very happy, right, in the body. But they feel very uncomfortable being in this material body because they are already in the spiritual plane. So, and he continues to write, personality of Godhead are about the ultimate goal of life, surcharge everything spiritually. Whoever takes advantage of such discussion is benefited both in this life and in the next. So that we will come to in this life and in the next. So whoever takes advantages. So the question comes, when you try to take advantage, again, not everybody is in the same consciousness level. Therefore, the next paragraph talks about the word ubayesham. That means uba means two. So it's describing in many ways, described in many ways. Generally, there are two classes of men, the materialist and the transcendentalist. So this hearing process and discussion process between the two personalities, two devotees, how it is beneficial to both these personalities. One is the transcendentalist and the materialist. Transcendentalist, we have already got that. You are actually, that is the subject matter which you are interested in it. Therefore, it is beneficial to you and it helps you to go back. That is there. Now, from a materialist point of view, how is it helpful? So that question comes. Again, for the materialists, there are two ways of looking at it. Krishna says 4 kinds of people come to me. No, one who's distressed, one who is seeker of wealth, one is inquisitive, and one who is searching for the truth. So all these 4 types of people are actually looking to hear, see, talk about Lord. And the benefit they get, one is this material benefit, which is plain, pure, vanilla. We all know, any problem, people go to the Lord. They say, oh my Lord, I am having health issues. Please help me. Oh my Lord, I am in debt. I am neck deep in debt. I want to get out of it. Please help me. Oh my Lord, I want more wealth. Oh my Lord, my relationships are all in a very messy situation. Please bless me. So these things are there. These things happen. When we pray, the Lord is sitting as witness. Today morning I was giving another class. Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita, I am the witness. So he is sitting as witness in our heart, trying, and he knows everything even before we think of it. There's nothing that we can hide from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because he knows everything. So when, even as I am, sometimes I may sugarcoat when I say something, but what is the internal meaning of what I am saying, the Lord knows. So he is sitting as a witness of what is my consciousness, what is my state, what am I trying to say, but what I am saying. He knows everything. And he, in that understanding of the soul's desire, he makes things happen for them. So in this life or in the next life, so as we hear about the Lord, we get the benefits, but I may not go back to Godhead. We are talking about materialists here, right? So the materialists may not be able to, may or may not be able to progress to the ultimate state. But by simply hearing about the Lord and moving forward to whatever extent possible in this life, he is certainly benefited in the next life also, because one, by hearing, he gets a lot of, Prabhupada also says, so there are people who take up Krishna consciousness and for some time, it could be a few months, few years, whatever they may take, and then they leave. So what happens to these people? There are 2 aspects which happens. One is that we know the spiritually, whatever you have done, you start from the balance. So I do for 5 years and then I leave Krishna consciousness and go back to my world ways. I got some 1% Krishna consciousness. Next life I start from 1%. I start after 1%. That means I start from whatever devotional life I do, it becomes 1 point something. That is understood. The other aspect is, Prabhupada is saying, those who have done something like this and leave it halfway or all that, Prabhupada says they will get very, very great material benefits. They will get, so they will get to enjoy in the heavenly planets for millions of years. And so that's sort of becomes the benefit of the Punya Karma. This is not Punya activity. When you do devotional service, it is not Punya activity. But this one can give, this is Kalpavriksha, and therefore it can also give some Punya benefit to this person who has done some devotional service. So there was a time, I think Prabhupada, I have heard this from, I am not sure whether Prabhupada disciple or some senior devotees, that Prabhupada once wrote elaborately about Swargalok. So when one disciple of him took that and read, and his eyes became so wide and he was very, very much impressed by that, then Prabhupada immediately took it and tore it off. He said, if you people get attracted, seeing all the, the details about the Swargaloka and all, if you get attracted and go there, what is the use? So I don't want you to, go into this. And he also once said, I think, that, all my disciples will go to Swargaloka. Like, means those who are taking up Krishna consciousness under his umbrella. So, means if you are not serious, we will certainly go to Swargaloka. Of course, that we don't want beyond a point, or not beyond a point, we don't want, because once we go there, that is another millions of years of enjoyment. And then you have to come back here. By the time we don't know what all has happened here, Kali Yuga already is a problem. So the idea is we don't want to go anywhere. There is also one more example I have seen. When we leave the body and we go up, when we are going up, we know this, right? As you keep going up, there are many, many wonderful planets which are not like what our so-called today's scientific exploration have revealed only sand and mud, nothing there. This is what people seem to say wherever they seem to have visited. But actually, as we keep going, we will find many, many advanced civilizations which are so wonderful, much more sophisticated than our Earth planet. So sometimes we may go and we see one amazing garden or something. We may want to enter into that, and the soul, when it's going up, it may want to go there and experience that place. So it said the Guru will be standing there and said, no, 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 not here. You need to go up further. You need to go up further. So we keep going up, going up. Ultimately, we are supposed to go to Goloka Vrindavan. So this process of purification sometimes may not get completed, so we may come to the next life, and in that life also we will have this benefit, have a good start, they call it, right, which will help us to continue our devotional service nicely. So that is one of the aspects that has been given. Now let's try to see a couple of things. It's another 5 minutes is there. Let's try to see a couple of things where it is mentioned. And it is also, before that, the previous paragraph is mentioned, right? Devotees are always eager to talk about the Lord. That I'm able to think of this verse where in Bhagavad Gita it is given, Matchitta Madgata Prana Bodhayantaha Parasparam Katayantascha Mam Nityam Tushyanti Cha Ramanti Cha. This is a very good example to highlight this particular verse when the devotees are in conversation about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What is their state? The thoughts of my pure devotee dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlivening one another and conversing about me. I should have started with this verse actually, this particular thing. When devotees are speaking, this is the purpose. Their thoughts always dwelling in me, and they're fully absorbed in his service, Krishna's service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss. From what? From always enlightening each other. That is the discussion between the devotees. Each other and conversing about me, talking about me. So this is the context in which this particular verse to be understood. That is the first one that I wanted to highlight. Then it is written, how is it beneficial for the materialists? There in Bhagavatam, the first canto 112, it says, Dharmaha projita kaitava atra Paramo Nirmatsananam Satam. This is one line of the 4-line verse, which is very, very important. Dharmaha Projita Kaitava Atra Paramo Nirmatsananam Satam. The word is Dharmaha Projita Kaitava. This is important. Dharmaha is religiosity. Projitaha completely rejected. Kaitava covered by fruitive intention. So if you really see, the materialists are actually involved in some ritual activities or the other. But those ritual activities are all materially motivated. So, but when someone who is hearing about the discussions of two devotees, that is not spiritually motivated. So now this spiritual versus the materialist generally engagement of spiritual are two different things. This spiritual engagement that is hearing in a discussion between two devotees helps that person to transfer from his spirituality, which is materially motivated, to spirituality, which is spiritually motivated. That's a big difference. That is the transition. So when a devotee actually comes in contact, a materially inflicted devotee, a materialistic person who comes in contact with a devotee and starts engaging in devotional service, the transformation happens where he is able to move from the state of doing ritualistic or spiritual activities for the purpose of getting some material benefits to doing the spiritual activity for the pleasure of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that transformation is actually what is actually taking him to the ultimate gati, the ultimate destination of that personality who's actually trying to progress. So from a materialistic person's point of view, this is very important. And there are a couple more verses which is also important, which is in the 7th canto of Prahalad Maharaj instructions. It is given. I will read the translation. Therefore, while in material existence, a person fully competent to distinguish wrong from right must endeavor to achieve the highest goal of life. Therefore, While in a material existence, this is for the materialists, who is able to at least distinguish between right and wrong, such a person should endeavor to achieve the highest goal of life as long as the body is stout and strong and it is not embarrassed by dwindling. So anyone, even who's materially inclined, he should try to hear in the association of the devotees so that he is able to come to some conclusion about what should be the ultimate goal of life. And there are two more verses. I'll just read the translation. The material miseries of the living entity, which are superfluous to him, can be directly mitigated by the linking process of devotional service. But the mass people do not know this, and therefore the learned Veda Vyasa compiled this Vedic literature, which is in relation to the Supreme Lord. Therefore, once even a materialist, by taking the association of devotees and hear from them from Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita and all the wonderful scriptures, their material miseries are directly mitigated. This is very important. The next verse, we will conclude with that. So this discussion is about, why even a materialist are getting benefited. Simply by giving oral reception to this Vedic literature, the feeling of loving devotional service to Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, sprouts up at once to extinguish the fire of lamentation, illusion, and fearlessness. Fearfulness, not fearlessness. It should lead to fearlessness, but right now we are in a state of fearfulness. That is material life, clearly defined as the fire of lamentation, illusion, and fearfulness. This is material life. But that is distinguished when one is able to give oral reception to the scriptures by hearing the discussions between great devotees. So with this, I end here. If there are any questions and comments, welcome. Hare Krishna. Okay. So if there are nothing specific, thank you all for taking time out and coming and attending this program. I could share whatever little knowledge that I could gather from Srila Prabhupada's books. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, devotees.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you for the wonderful session. Dear devotees, any questions, comments? Okay. Okay, Prabhuji. So,
thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
no questions, then we will end the session. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.